Here's the thing about reality. It's fragile. You think it's concrete, like the foundation of your house, but it's actually just thin glass. Right now, as I type this, my husband, Richard, is sitting about 10 feet away from me on our beige sectional. He's wearing his favorite charcoal sweatpants, the ones with the hole in the left pocket, and he's reading a biography of Elon Musk. He looks calm. He looks domestic. He looks exactly like the man I've been married to for 7 years. But here's the kicker, and I need you to really listen to me because my brain is still trying to process this physics-defying nightmare. While Richard is turning the page of his book in my living room, I am simultaneously looking at a live stream on my laptop where my actual husband is currently face down on the marble floor of the Burj Al Arab Hotel in Dubai, getting zip-tied by 3 very angry police officers. The man on my couch is an imposter. A surgically altered, perfectly rehearsed, million-dollar copy. And he has absolutely no idea that I know. If you're watching this video, tell me where you're from or what time it is for you. It started with a tea kettle. That's the detail that sticks in my head, the stupid high-pitched scream of the kettle in the kitchen. It was Thursday night, 10:30 p.m. exactly. My life was boring. It was safe. I was Dana, a fraud investigator who spent her days staring at spreadsheets and her nights watching Netflix documentaries about other people's crimes. I was sitting on the couch, half asleep, when my phone buzzed on the coffee table. It was my cousin Sarah. Now, you have to understand something about Sarah. She doesn't call at 10:30 p.m. to chat. Sarah married into forget the price tag money and spends half her life at 40,000 feet. If she's calling, it's usually because she's drunk in Paris or bored in Aspen. I picked up, expecting a drunk dial. "Is Richard there?" she asked. No hello, no small talk. Her voice was tight, vibrating with a frequency that instantly woke me up. It wasn't drunk. It was terrified. "Yeah," I said, rubbing my eyes. "He's in the kitchen making tea. Why?" The line went dead silent. Not the silence of a dropped call, but the heavy, suffocating silence of someone trying to figure out how to say something that shouldn't be possible. I could hear the background noise on her end, the distinct low-frequency hum of a pressurized cabin. "Sarah?" I asked, sitting up straighter. "What's going on?" "Dana, I need you to walk into the kitchen and put eyes on him," she whispered. "Right now." "He's right there," I said, looking toward the hallway. "I can hear him. The kettle is whistling." "Look at him," she commanded. "Please." I got up, the phone pressed hard against my ear. I walked in my socks to the doorway of the kitchen. There he was, Richard. My Richard. He was standing by the stove, pouring boiling water into his favorite navy blue mug, the one I bought him 3 Christmases ago. He was wearing his Yale sweatshirt, the one with the frayed collar he refused to throw away. His back was to me, but I knew the slope of his shoulders, the way he shifted his weight to his right leg because of that old running injury. "I'm looking at him, Sarah," I said, my voice dropping to a whisper. "He's making chamomile tea, just like he does every night." "That's impossible," Sarah said. Her voice cracked. "Because a man who looks exactly like Richard just boarded my private jet to Dubai." My brain stalled. "What?" "I'm staring at him, Dana," she hissed. "He's sitting 3 rows ahead of me. He signed the manifest as Richard Chandler. He's wearing his wedding ring, and he's holding hands with a woman who isn't you." I looked at the man in my kitchen. He turned around then, hearing me. He smiled. That familiar, soft smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. "Everything okay, babe?" he asked. His voice was perfect. It was Richard's voice. "Who's on the phone?" "Just Sarah," I managed to choke out, my heart suddenly hammering a frantic rhythm against my ribs. "Work drama." He nodded, blew on his tea, and leaned against the counter. "Tell her I said hi." He just said hi to you," I whispered into the phone, turning my back to him and walking quickly back toward the living room. "Dana," Sarah said, and I've never heard her sound so serious in my life. "The man on this plane isn't a look-alike. He has the scar above his left eyebrow. He has the Tom Ford suit you picked up from the cleaners last week. He introduced the woman he's with as his wife. My blood turned into ice water. Send me a photo, I said. Right now. I sat back down on the couch, my legs feeling like they'd been replaced with lead pipes. The kitchen noises continued, the clink of a spoon against ceramic, the soft thud of the fridge door closing. Normal sounds, domestic sounds, the soundtrack of my safe, boring marriage. My phone buzzed. The image from Sarah was loading slowly, line by agonizing line, thanks to our spotty Wi-Fi. While it loaded, Richard walked into the living room. Here, he said, setting a mug of tea on the coaster in front of me. I put a little extra honey in it. You sounded stressed. Thanks, I said. I couldn't look at him. I stared at my phone screen as the photo resolved. The world tilted sideways. The photo was grainy, taken from a low angle like Sarah was trying to be discreet. But it was unmistakable. It was Richard. He was sitting in a plush leather airplane seat, holding a champagne flute. He was laughing, a big open-mouthed laugh I hadn't seen in months. His hand was resting possessively on the arm of a woman with striking red hair. I zoomed in. My fingers were shaking so bad I almost dropped the phone. It was the details that destroyed me. The scar above his left eyebrow, the one he got from a lacrosse stick in college. The Patek Philippe watch with the blue face I gave him for our 5th anniversary. But the thing that made me want to throw up was the suit. It was a charcoal gray Tom Ford with very subtle pinstripes. I knew that suit. I knew it because I had picked it up from the dry cleaners on Tuesday. I had carried it into the house. I had hung it in his closet. I looked up at the man sitting next to me. He was blowing on his tea, scrolling through his iPad. He looked up, catching my stare. "What's wrong?" he asked. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "Just, Sarah sent me a weird article," I lied, "about identity theft." "Scary stuff," he said, shaking his head. "That's why I always tell you to use two-factor authentication." I looked back at the photo. If the real Richard was on a plane to Dubai wearing the Tom Ford suit, then the suit shouldn't be in our closet. "I'm going to go change," I said, standing up. "I'm freezing." "Okay," he said, not even looking up from his screen. "Don't be long. We need to finish this episode." I walked toward the stairs. Every step felt like walking on a tightrope. I needed to see the closet. I needed to see if the suit was there. If the suit was gone, then the man on the plane was Richard. And if the man on the plane was Richard, then who the hell was drinking tea in my living room? I was halfway up the stairs when the doorbell rang. It was 10:45 p.m. Nobody rings the doorbell at 10:45 p.m. unless the house is on fire or someone is dead. "I'll get it," Richard called out from the living room. "No," I shouted too loudly. I froze, gripping the banister. I'm already up. I'll check from the window." I didn't want him opening the door. I didn't want him interacting with anyone. I ran back down and peered through the peephole. It was Mrs. Higgins from next door. She's 70, has severe insomnia, and notices absolutely everything that happens on our block. I opened the door a crack. "Mrs. Higgins? Is everything okay?" She was clutching a small Amazon package. "Sorry to bother you, dear. The delivery boy left this on my porch, but it's for you. I didn't want it to get stolen overnight." "Oh, thank you." I reached for it, trying to close the door quickly. "Is your husband feeling better?" she asked, leaning in, trying to see past me into the house. I paused. "Better? Was he sick?" Mrs. Higgins frowned, adjusting her glasses. "Well, he seemed confused earlier. I saw him this afternoon when he got home. I was struggling with my groceries, big bag of cat litter, and he rushed right over and carried it all the way to my kitchen counter." My stomach dropped. Richard was a lot of things, ambitious, smart, organized, but he was not helpful. He hated Mrs. Higgins. He called her the neighborhood watch witch. He would never in a million years carry her cat litter. "That was nice of him," I said, my voice hollow. "It was," she said, "but strange. He was humming." "Humming?" "Yes. while he was walking up my driveway, humming that Taylor Swift song that's on the radio all the time. I stared at her. Richard listened to NPR and classical cello. He loathed pop music. He called Taylor Swift noise pollution. And, Mrs. Higgins lowered her voice, he called me ma'am. Richard has called me Mrs. H for 5 years. It was just odd. Is he on new medication? Maybe, I whispered. Work stress. You know how it is. Well, tell him thank you, she said, and tell him to stop humming. He's tone deaf. I closed the door and leaned my forehead against the cool wood. Mrs. Higgins, with her insomnia and nosiness, had just given me something Sarah's photo couldn't. Behavioral proof. The man in the living room was too nice. He was too polite. He helped old ladies and hummed pop songs. He wasn't Richard. I walked upstairs, clutching the Amazon package like a shield. My heart was beating so hard I could hear it in my ears, a whoosh, whoosh sound that drowned out the house settling. Honey, the voice floated up from the living room. You okay up there? Just stomachache, I yelled back. Going to take a shower. I went into the master bedroom and locked the door. Then I ran to the bathroom and turned on the shower, cranking it to full blast so the noise would cover me. I slipped into the walk-in closet. It smelled like him. Sandalwood and expensive wool. I scanned the rack. The Tom Ford suit was gone. There was an empty gap on the wooden rod between his navy blazer and his tux. I ran my hand along the empty hangers, counting. 3 of his favorite dress shirts were missing too. The light blue one, the white one with French cuffs. He had packed. The real Richard had packed a bag and left. I dropped to my knees and crawled to the back of the closet, pushing aside boxes of winter boots to get to the floor safe. I punched in the code, our wedding anniversary. My fingers were slippery with sweat and I messed it up the first time. Beep, error. Calm down, I whispered to myself. Dana, breathe. I tried again. Beep, click. The door swung open. I reached in and pulled out our passport holder. I opened it. There were 2 passports inside. I stared at them, my brain refusing to compute. 2 U.S. passports. Both said Richard Chandler. I opened the first one. It was worn, the edges soft. I flipped through the pages. Stamps from London, Tokyo, our honeymoon in Greece. This was Richard's passport, the real one. I opened the second one. It was stiff. Brand new. The photo was Richard, but too perfect. The lighting was studio quality, not the harsh fluorescent glare of a post office camera. The issue date was 4 months ago. The passport number was different. I held them side by side. If the real passport was here in my hands, what did the man on the jet use to leave the country? And then it hit me. The real Richard didn't use the fake passport. The real Richard used a second real passport I didn't know about. Or, no. The man on the jet was the real Richard. He must have a duplicate legitimate passport or dual citizenship I didn't know about. But the man downstairs, who was he? I looked at the fake passport again. It was a high-quality forgery or a clean second identity. I heard footsteps on the stairs. I shoved both passports back into the safe, slammed the door, and scrambled to push the boot boxes back in place. I stood up just as the bedroom doorknob rattled. Dana! I'm in the bathroom, I shouted, rushing toward the steam. I stayed in the bathroom for 10 minutes, staring at my face in the mirror. I looked the same. Auburn hair, pale skin, tired eyes. But everything had changed. I was trapped in a house with a stranger who was wearing my husband's face. I needed to be sure. I needed to catch him in a lie that only the real Richard would know was a lie. I walked back downstairs. He was still on the couch, now watching the news. Feel better? He asked, looking up. A little, I said. I sat down next to him, close enough that our thighs touched. It made my skin crawl. I pulled my phone out and discreetly opened my voice recording app. Hey, I said casually. I was looking at the calendar. Didn't you say you had that conference in Milwaukee this weekend? He paused. I watched his face. He tilted his head slightly to the left, a gesture Richard always did when he was thinking. It was terrifyingly accurate. Milwaukee? He frowned, appearing to search his memory. No, sweetie. That's next month. This weekend I'm here. We talked about organizing the garage, remember? My heart hammered. We had never talked about organizing the garage. The real Richard would rather die than clean a garage. And he did have a conference this weekend, but it was in Atlanta, not Milwaukee. I had helped him pack for it yesterday. He failed. Right, I said, forcing a smile. Garage. Sorry, my brain is fried. You've been working too hard on that audit, he said soothingly. What is it? The Bergstrom acquisition going? I froze. The Bergstrom deal? I asked. Yeah, the acquisition. Is the CFO still dragging his feet? Richard had been working on the Bergstrom deal for 3 months. He was obsessed with it. He talked about it in his sleep. But in the finance world, and specifically in Richard's firm, there is a massive difference between a merger and an acquisition. Richard was pedantic about terminology. He corrected me on it constantly. He had never, not once, called it an acquisition. Yeah, I said, standing up because I couldn't stand to be near him anymore. It's complicated. Well, don't worry about it tonight, he said, turning back to the TV. He was failing tests he didn't even know he was taking. I need water, I muttered, and walked straight past the kitchen, up the stairs, and into the guest bedroom at the end of the hall. I locked the door and dialed Lisa. Lisa is my best friend, but she's also ex-FBI and currently runs a private security firm that charges corporate clients ungodly amounts of money to find bugs in their boardrooms. She answered on the first ring. It's 11:15, Dana. You better be dying or pregnant. There is a man in my house who looks like Richard, but he isn't Richard, I said. My voice was eerily calm. Shock does that to you. Silence. Then the sound of movement. Say that again. Sarah called from her jet. The real Richard is on his way to Dubai with a mistress. There is an imposter in my living room. He failed the test, Lisa. He got the conference city wrong and he called the merger an acquisition. Is he armed? Lisa asked. Her voice had shifted. The brunch friend was gone, replaced by the federal agent. I don't know. I don't think so. He's drinking chamomile tea and reading Elon Musk. I'm on my way. Do not confront him. Do not let on that you know. Act normal. Lisa, he looks exactly like him. Even the scar. Facial prosthetics or surgery, she said instantly. I'm bringing the rig. Give me 20 minutes. I hung up and sat on the edge of the guest bed. I listened to the house. I could hear the TV downstairs. I could hear the imposter cough. Who was he? How long had he been here? Had I slept with him? The thought made me gag. I ran to the guest bathroom and dry heaved into the sink. 18 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Here, let me in. I went downstairs. Richard looked up. Who's that? Lisa, I said. She broke up with her boyfriend. She needs to vent. He rolled his eyes. At midnight. Jesus. All right, I'll be in the office. Perfect. I opened the door. Lisa was standing there in black jeans and a leather jacket, holding a sleek metal briefcase that looked like it contained nuclear codes. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail so tight it acted as a facelift. Where is he? She mouthed. I pointed up. Office. She stepped inside, moving silently in her combat boots. She didn't look like a friend coming to vent. She looked like a hitman. This will take 3 minutes, Lisa whispered as we crept up the stairs. The software maps facial geometry. If he's had surgery, the bone structure won't lie. The office door was ajar. A sliver of light spilled into the hallway. We could see him sitting at Richard's mahogany desk, typing on a laptop. Lisa opened her briefcase on the hallway floor. She pulled out a device that looked like a DSLR camera with a weird sensor attachment. She aimed it through the crack in the door. I held my breath. The hallway floorboard creaked under my foot, the one that always creaks. The imposter stopped typing. He tilted his head. We froze. After a second, he went back to typing. Lisa watched the screen on her laptop. A green grid appeared over the imposter's face, scanning back and forth. "Come on," she whispered. Red text flashed on the screen. ID match. 97%. Anomaly detected. We retreated to the guest room. Lisa sat on the floor and opened the detailed analysis. "Okay," she said, her voice clinical. "It's a masterpiece, Dana. I've never seen work this good outside of witness protection." "Is it him?" I asked, even though I knew the answer. "No," she said. She pointed to the screen. "Look here. The distance between the pupils is off by 1.3 millimeters. The ear shape is a 97% match, but the cartilage structure here," she pointed to the curve of the ear, "is different. And the scar? Under magnification, the tissue is wrong. It's a surgical recreation, not an old injury." "So he's a fake," I whispered. "He's a fake who has had hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of plastic surgery to become your husband," Lisa said grimly. "This isn't a prank, Dana. This is a long con." "Why?" I asked. "Why go to all this trouble?" "Money," Lisa said. "It's always money." "Check the accounts," Lisa said. "All of them. Now." We went to the kitchen. My laptop was still on the table. I logged into our joint bank accounts with shaking fingers. My investigator brain kicked in. The panic receded, replaced by the cold, hard drive to find the truth. "Checking account looks normal," I said, scrolling. "Mortgage, utilities, groceries, no big withdrawals." "Dig deeper," Lisa said. "Look for patterns." I pulled up the credit cards. Nothing weird. Then I checked the debit card withdrawals for the last 6 months. "Wait," I said. "Here, cash withdrawals. $500 here, $300 there. Almost every day for weeks. Total? About 15 grand over 3 months." "That's not enough to fund a new life in Dubai," Lisa said. "That's petty cash." I kept looking. I found a recurring payment on an old credit card I barely used. Blackstone Services, $2,000 a month. "Gambling?" Lisa suggested. "Bookie?" "Maybe," I said. Relief washing over me. "Oh my God, maybe that's it. Maybe Richard has a gambling problem. Maybe he's in debt to some loan shark named Blackstone, and he hired this guy to cover for him while he runs away to fix it." It sounded plausible. It sounded better than the alternative. A gambling addiction I could handle. A husband who was sick I could help. "Let's look up Blackstone," I said. I searched the merchant ID. It took 10 minutes of digging through shell company registries, something I did for a living. "It's not a bookie," I said, my stomach sinking again. "Blackstone Services is a holding company registered in Delaware." "Who owns it?" "A trust." I clicked through the layers, and the trust is managed by a law firm in Panama. "It's not debt," Lisa said softly. "He's not paying someone back. He's funneling money out." "Wait," I said. "If he's moving money out, where is it coming from? The checking account is full." I opened our investment portfolio, the retirement accounts, the stocks. The balance on our 401k was 0. The balance on our brokerage account was $4.12. "Oh God," I whispered. "He didn't just leave. He took everything." The Blackstone payments were just the test runs. The real damage was hidden in the wire transfers. I pulled up the history. "Look at this," I said, pointing at the screen. 27 transfers, each one for $9,500. "Just under the federal reporting limit," Lisa whistled. "He knows the rules." "He didn't want to trigger the $10,000 alert to the IRS," I said. "He's been draining us dry for 4 months. $257,000 from savings alone." I started cross-referencing dates. March 15th to 17th, I read. He said he was in Cleveland for a client emergency. I remember because I had a migraine and he called to check on me. I found the credit card charges for those dates. Ritz-Carlton, Dubai, I read. Room service for 2, spa treatments, couples massage. "He wasn't in Cleveland," Lisa said. "No, he was in Dubai with her." I scrolled further. Cartier, Geneva, $47,000. Van Cleef and Arpels, Paris, $63,000. He bought her jewelry with our retirement fund, I said, my voice flat. He bought another woman diamonds with the money we were saving for a house. He's thorough, Lisa said. He's been planning this for a year. He hired the double so he wouldn't have to deal with the divorce. He wanted a clean break. He wanted to disappear and leave you with the ghost. He wanted to leave me with nothing, I said. No money, no husband, just a stranger in my house and a bunch of empty accounts. I looked at the total I had tallied on my spreadsheet. $4.2 million, I said. Between the savings, the investments, and the equity line he secretly opened on the house, he stole $4 million. We need proof that isn't just circumstantial, I said. We need his plan. We need to know where the money is now. The laptop, Lisa said. The imposter. Let's call him Fake Richard. He's using a laptop upstairs. If he's communicating with the real Richard, the evidence is on that drive. We can't just take it. He'll notice. We clone it, Lisa said. I have a drive that can copy the image in 90 seconds, but we need physical access. He goes to sleep at 1:30, I said. He reads for exactly 15 minutes, then lights out. That's Richard's routine. We waited. The time dragged. At 1:45 a.m., the house went silent. We crept upstairs. The door to the office was closed. I turned the handle. It was unlocked. The room was dark. The laptop was sitting on the desk, asleep. Lisa plugged in her USB drive. Okay, she whispered. Do your thing. She tapped a few keys. The screen lit up. A password prompt appeared. Damn, she said, it's not just a login password. It's BIOS encrypted. Can you crack it? Not without a supercomputer in 3 weeks, she hissed. This guy isn't just an actor. Someone set this tech up for him. It's military grade. So we can't clone it? No, if I try to force it, it might wipe the drive. She pulled the USB out. We lost the easy way, Dana. So what's the hard way? Lisa looked at me in the dark. The hard way is we wake him up, we confront him, and we make him talk. He's a criminal, I whispered. What if he attacks us? I have a taser and 5 years of combat training, Lisa said. You have a scary amount of rage. I like our odds. I looked at the laptop. It was a black box holding the secrets of my ruined life. Let's go, I said. I want to meet my husband. Lisa and I sat at the kitchen table in the dark. It was 2:13 a.m. The only light came from the microwave clock, a glowing green eye watching us wait. I had a lukewarm cup of coffee in front of me that I wasn't drinking. Lisa was cleaning her fingernails with a tactical knife she'd pulled out of her boot. He's moving, Lisa whispered, her head cocked toward the ceiling. I heard it too. The soft creak of the floorboards in the master bedroom, the sound of a door opening, footsteps on the stairs, padded, quiet, the walk of a man who thinks he owns the house. He appeared in the doorway, rubbing his face. He was wearing Richard's silk pajamas, the ones I'd bought for our anniversary last year. Seeing this stranger in my husband's intimate clothes made bile rise in my throat. He froze when he saw us. 2 women sitting in the dark like avenging angels. Dana? He asked, his voice thick with sleep. He still sounded exactly like Richard. What are you doing? Who is... He squinted at Lisa. Is everything okay? Sit down, I said. My voice was unrecognizable to my own ears. It wasn't the voice of a wife. It was the voice of a fraud investigator who had just found the smoking gun. What? Sit down. He hesitated, his eyes darting to the knife in Lisa's hand. He sat. Drop the accent, I said. He blinked. I don't know what you mean. Dana, you're scaring me. I picked up my phone and slid it across the table. The screen was glowing with the photo Sarah had sent. The real Richard on the jet, laughing, holding Chloe's hand. That is Richard Chandler, I said. He is currently over the Atlantic Ocean, which means you are not Richard Chandler. The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush furniture. He stared at the photo. I watched his face, Richard's face, go through a transformation that was terrifying to witness. The confidence evaporated, the posture slumped, the jaw slackened. "Oh," he said, and just like that, the illusion shattered. The voice that came out next wasn't Richard's baritone. It was lighter, higher, with the distinct flattened vowels of the West Coast. "I told him the jet photo was a risk," he muttered. "I told him someone would see." "Who are you?" I asked. He looked up. His eyes were terrified. "My name is Jacob Miller." "Jacob," I repeated. "And what are you, Jacob? A clone? A twin?" "An actor," he said. "I'm an actor." "An actor," Lisa repeated, her tone flat. She tapped the knife against the table. Clink, clink. "You're telling me you're doing a bit?" "It's an immersive performance piece," Jacob stammered, his hands shaking on the table. "That's how it was pitched. Corporate training, executive coaching. Richard said he needed a stand-in for a few months while he handled some sensitive business abroad. He said his wife, you, couldn't know because of legal reasons." "Legal reasons," I laughed. It was a dry, jagged sound. "He told you I was the problem." "He said you were emotionally unstable," Jacob said quietly, looking down, "that you wouldn't let him leave, that he needed a clean break to set up the divorce settlement without you freezing the assets." "So you decided to help him gaslight me?" "I needed the money," he whispered. "I was waiting tables at a cheesecake factory in Burbank. I haven't booked a real gig in 6 years. Then this guy shows up. He offers me $75,000 up front, cash, plus $25,000 a month." $75,000, I said. "That's what my marriage was worth to you." "It was life-changing money, and he paid for the surgery. I don't know what I thought. I thought it was weird, yeah, but rich people do weird stuff all the time." "The surgery," Lisa said. "Where?" "Seoul, a clinic in Gangnam. I was there for 3 months. They broke my jaw. They reshaped my orbital bones. They harvested cartilage from my rib to rebuild my ear." He touched his face, a gesture of horror. "It hurt like hell, but when the bandages came off, I looked in the mirror and I didn't see me anymore." "You committed identity theft," Lisa said, leaning forward. "Fraud, conspiracy, breaking and entering. You're sleeping in this woman's bed. You're accessing her husband's accounts. That's federal, Jacob. You're looking at 15 to 20 years. Jacob went pale. "I didn't steal anything. I just sat here. I just drank tea and read books and went to meetings." "You facilitated the theft of $4 million, I said. "Richard is draining our accounts right now. You are the distraction." He looked like he was going to vomit. $4 million? He told me he just wanted to protect his 401k. "He lied," I said. "Imagine that." I stood up and walked around the table until I was standing right behind him. I put my hands on the back of his chair. "Here is your new reality, Jacob. Option A. Lisa calls her friends at the FBI. They come here, they arrest you, and you spend the next decade in a federal prison explaining to your cellmate why you have a stranger's face." He flinched. "Option B," I continued. "You work for me." He turned around, eyes wide. "What? You're an actor, right? You want the role of a lifetime? This is it. You keep playing Richard, but now you play him exactly the way I tell you to. You help me trap him. If I do that, if you help me get my money back and put the real Richard in jail," I said, "I will convince the prosecutor that you were a victim too, a pawn. I'll get you a plea deal, probation, maybe community service." He looked at Lisa. Lisa spun the knife on the table. "She's the best deal you're gonna get, superstar." Jacob took a breath, a long, shaky breath. He looked at his hands, hands that looked like Richard's hands. "Okay," he said. "What do I have to do?" "First," I said, "I need everything he gave you. Phones, laptops, notes, everything." Jacob ran upstairs and came back with a stack of documents and a burner phone. He placed a thick, leather-bound notebook on the table. He called this the Bible, Jacob said. I opened it. The first page was a table of contents. Part 1, history and backstory. Part 2, mannerisms and tics. Part 3, the wife, Dana. I flipped to Part 3. My stomach twisted. It was a dissection. A cold clinical analysis of me written by the person who was supposed to love me. Subject, Dana, is insecure about her intelligence compared to my Ivy League background. If she questions a decision, use complex financial terminology. She will back down to avoid looking stupid. She hates conflict. If she gets angry, do not argue. Just go quiet. The silence makes her anxious, and she will apologize within an hour. Intimacy. She initiates on weekends. Keep it routine. No eye contact during. Trigger. Do not mention her father's death. If you need sympathy, feign a headache. She loves taking care of people. He wrote this? I asked, my voice trembling. Yeah, Jacob said softly. He made me memorize it. He quizzed me on it. What does Dana drink when she's sad? Earl Grey with lemon? What is Dana's tell when she's lying? She touches her necklace. I let go of my necklace. I hadn't even realized I was holding it. I read on. She is trusting to a fault. She believes in the sanctity of marriage. Use that. Appeal to our future. She is desperate for a future. I slammed the book shut. He thinks I'm an idiot, I said. He thinks I'm a pathetic, insecure little woman who can be managed with a few tricks. He said you were simple, Jacob admitted, that you were easy to handle. I looked at Lisa. She looked furious on my behalf. He didn't know who he married, I said. He married a fraud investigator, and he just handed me the instruction manual on how to destroy him. We need to make him sign something, I said, something that gives us access to where he's hiding the money. It was 4 a.m. We were in my home office. Lisa was setting up a secure server tunnel. Jacob was sitting on the floor watching us like a confused golden retriever. He's in Dubai, I said, pacing. He loves Dubai. He's obsessed with the real estate market there. He's always talked about the Dubai Marina Towers. I pulled up my laptop. I'm going to create a fake investment opportunity, a silent auction for a penthouse in the marina, distressed asset, 30% below market value, immediate cash requirement. He's greedy, Lisa said. He won't be able to resist a deal. I started drafting the document. I used the letterhead of a real Dubai brokerage firm. I forged the signatures of real directors. I used the font Richard preferred for legal documents. Garamond size 11. Here's the trap, Lisa said, sliding a USB drive into my computer. This is a little gift from my days at the Bureau. It's a beacon script disguised as a PDF signature field. When he clicks Authorize to sign the document, it executes a command. What does the command do? Jacob asked. 3 things, Lisa counted on her fingers. 1, it activates his webcam so we can see him. 2, it scrapes his current IP address and geolocates him down to the meter. 3, it injects a lockout protocol into whatever accounts he's currently logged into. It freezes him, I said. It bricks him, Lisa corrected. It triggers the fraud alerts on the bank side. It tells the bank this user is compromised. The bank freezes the funds automatically to protect the asset. He won't be able to move a dime. And then we send the location data to Interpol, Lisa smiled, and we watch the fireworks. I finished the document. It looked perfect. Confidential, off-market opportunity, exclusive for Richard Chandler. Now, I turned to Jacob. You have to sell it. Jacob held the burner phone. His hands were sweating. Text him, I commanded. Use the app he installed. Signal. What do I say? Say this. Found a file on Dana's laptop. Looks like she's looking at Dubai property. She wants to surprise you. Should I encourage it? Jacob typed it out. Sent. We waited. 1 minute. 2 minutes. The phone buzzed. Richard. What kind of property? Send details. He's interested, I said. Send the PDF. Jacob attached the fake document. Jacob. She downloaded this. She thinks it's a retirement investment. She's talking about cashing out her inheritance to buy in. I didn't have an inheritance, but Richard didn't know that for sure. My aunt had died recently. Greed would blind him. The phone buzzed again. Richard, that's a Marina penthouse. Do not let her sign anything. She'll mess it up. Tell her I want to review it first. Tell her it needs my authorization as the primary account holder. Got him, I whispered. He wants control. He can't stand the idea of me making a deal without him. Jacob. Okay, I told her you need to approve the structure. She's annoyed, but she put it in the shared cloud folder. She's distracted, watching TV, suspects nothing. A pause, then 3 dots. Richard. Good work. Keep her distracted. I'll access the folder and sign the authorization tonight. Once the transfer clears, we're done. 2 more days, Jacob. Then you disappear. Disappear? Jacob squeaked. Does that mean kill me? No, I said. It means he stops paying you in ghosts. But he's right about one thing. We have 2 days. The next 48 hours were the longest of my life. Living with Jacob was a psychological horror movie. He walked like Richard. He ate like Richard. But he wasn't Richard. I walked into the kitchen. Jacob was making toast. He used the wrong setting. Richard liked it burnt. Jacob liked it barely golden. Morning, he said, offering me a plate. I made, toast. Thanks, I said. I sat down. He sat opposite me. He was wearing Richard's reading glasses. So, he said, awkwardly buttering his bread. What was he like before? He was charming, I said. He was the smartest guy in the room. He made you feel like you were the only person who mattered. Until you weren't. I'm sorry, Jacob said, and he sounded genuine. You know, reading that book, the notes he wrote about you, they were wrong. You're not simple. I looked at him. It was so jarring to hear kindness coming from that face. Don't, I said. Don't be nice to me. It's confusing. Right, sorry. He cleared his throat. Should I go yell at the gardener? Richard usually yells at the gardener on Fridays. I almost laughed. No, give the gardener a break today. That afternoon, I caught him watching The Real Housewives in the living room. Richard only watched Bloomberg. Turn it off, I snapped. If the neighbors see through the window... Right, sorry. He switched to CNBC. This is so boring. How did you stand him? I loved him, I said. The words tasted like ash. I really loved him. Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Chicago time, 8 p.m. Dubai time. Lisa's laptop chirped. Beacon active, she shouted from the guest room. I ran in. Jacob followed, hovering in the doorway. On the screen, a grainy video feed popped up. It was a webcam view looking up at a chin. He's opening the laptop, Lisa narrated. The face moved into frame. It was Richard, the real Richard. He was tanned. He looked relaxed. He was wearing a white linen shirt unbuttoned at the top. Behind him, I saw gold curtains and a view of the night skyline. Burj Al Arab, I said. The royal suite. $24,000 a night. A woman walked into the frame. Chloe. She was wearing a silk robe and holding a glass of wine. She kissed him on the cheek. Is it done? She asked. Her voice was tinny through the laptop speakers. Almost, Richard said. Just signing the authorization now. Dana actually found a good deal. Stupid luck. We'll flip it in 6 months for $1 million profit. He's calling me stupid while he steals from me, I said, my fists clenching so hard my nails cut my palms. Wait for it, Lisa said. He's scrolling. On the screen, Richard's eyes scanned the document. He looked greedy. He looked triumphant. He reached for the trackpad. Click it, I whispered. Do it. He clicked. On the video feed, Richard frowned. He tapped the key again. What's wrong? Chloe asked. Frozen, Richard muttered. Screen just went red. Suddenly, his phone on the desk lit up. Then Chloe's phone. B's at T. B's at T. B's at... Alerts, Lisa said. Bank accounts locking down. Credit cards declining. The system is purging him. Richard looked at his phone. His face went from annoyed to confused to terrified in 3 seconds. "My access is denied," he said, his voice rising. "All of them. The Swiss account, the Cayman account. It says, Federal Fraud Alert." "Interpol is getting the ping," Lisa said, typing furiously. "Sending the coordinates now. Dubai police are fast. Especially when you mess with their banks." We watched for 12 minutes. Richard was frantic. He was trying to call his banker, but his phone service had been cut. He was pacing the room, screaming at Chloe to pack. "We have to go," he yelled. "Pack the jewelry. Leave the clothes." "What did you do?" Chloe screamed back. "You said it was safe." "Shut up." Then came the knock. It wasn't a polite knock. It was the heavy, authoritative pounding of a baton on wood. "Police, open the door." Richard froze. He looked at the door. Then he looked at the balcony. "He's going to run," I said. "He's on the 25th floor, but he's stupid enough to try." The door burst open. Uniformed officers swarmed the room. Richard didn't fight like a man. He cowered. He put his hands up and backed away, knocking over a lamp. "It's a mistake," he shrieked. "I'm an American citizen. This is a misunderstanding." They tackled him, face down on the plush carpet. Hands zip-tied behind his back. Chloe was crying in the corner, holding a pillow. "I didn't know," she wailed. "He kidnapped me. I'm a victim." "She's good," Jacob noted. "Better actor than me." An officer grabbed the laptop. The camera tilted wildly, showing the ceiling, then the inside of an evidence bag. The feed went black. "Got him," Lisa said, leaning back in her chair. "I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel relieved. I felt cold." "It's not over," I said. "Now we have to finish it here." Sunday morning, 9 a.m. I had sent the text messages the night before. Emergency family meeting. Critical health issue regarding Richard. Please come immediately. I sat in the living room. Jacob sat next to me on the couch, wearing Richard's Sunday casuals, cashmere sweater, slacks. He looked miserable. The doorbell rang. "Showtime," I whispered to Jacob. One last performance. Lisa was hidden in the kitchen with 2 actual FBI agents she had called in, Special Agent Miller and Special Agent Zhang. They were waiting for my signal. Hannah, Richard's mother, walked in first. She didn't knock. She just barged in, followed by Richard's brother, Matthew. "What is this?" Hannah demanded, clutching her pearls. "Is it cancer? Is it his heart? Why did you drag us here at 9 a.m.? Then she saw Richard on the couch. "Richard!" she cried, rushing over. "Oh, thank God! She made it sound like you were dying." She went to hug him. Jacob stiffened but let her hug him. "I'm fine, Mother," Jacob said. He used the voice. It was perfect. "Then why are we here?" Matthew asked, looking at his watch. "I have a tea time at 11. Then the partners arrived, David and Simon. They looked worried. "Richard," David said, "we got the text. Is everything okay with the firm? Did the audit come back?" "Sit down, everyone," I said. I stood by the fireplace. "Dana, would you get me some coffee?" Hannah asked, not even looking at me. "And tell us what's going on." "No," I said. Hannah looked at me, shocked. "Excuse me?" "I'm not getting you coffee, Hannah, and Richard isn't going to tell you what's going on, because that man," I pointed at Jacob, "is not Richard." The room went silent. "Oh, don't be dramatic," Matthew sneered. "He's sitting right there. Have you finally lost it, Dana?" "Jacob," I said, "tell them." Jacob stood up. He took off the glasses. He took a deep breath. "Hi," he said, dropping the accent completely. "My name is Jacob. I'm an actor from Los Angeles. I was hired 4 months ago to impersonate Richard Chandler." Hannah stared at him. "This isn't funny, Richard. Stop doing that silly voice." "It's not a joke, Mom," Jacob said. "I mean, ma'am, I'm not your son. Your son is in Dubai." I picked up the remote and turned on the TV. I had cast the news report to the screen. The headline, "American Executive Arrested in Dubai Fraud Scandal." The video played. It showed Richard, the real Richard, being led out of the Burj Al Arab in handcuffs. Hannah looked at the TV, then at Jacob, then at the TV. "But," she whispered, "he's right here." "Show them the scar," I told Jacob. Jacob leaned forward. "It's fake, ma'am. Look close." Hannah peered at his forehead. She touched it. She recoiled like she had touched a snake. "Where is my son?" she screamed at me. "What did you do with him?" "I didn't do anything," I said calmly. "Your son did this. He stole $4 million from us. He ran away with his mistress, Chloe, and he hired this man to keep me distracted." "Liar!" Hannah yelled. "Richard is a good man. You drove him to this." "Did I?" I looked at David and Simon, the partners. "David, did you know Richard has been siphoning money from the client escrow accounts for 6 months?" David went pale. "That's impossible." I checked the books. "He created a shadow ledger," I said. "He's been stealing from the pension fund, about $1.2 million. David pulled out his phone, his hands shaking. "And Matthew," I turned to the brother, "he cashed out the family trust. The one meant for your kids' college? It's gone. He used it to buy a condo in the Cayman Islands." "You're lying," Matthew said, but he sounded unsure. "And Hannah," I said, turning to the mother-in-law from hell, "he didn't spare you either. He refinanced your house in Connecticut. He forged your signature. You don't own it anymore, the bank does." Hannah collapsed onto the sofa. "No," she whimpered. "He wouldn't." "He did," I said. "And he's been in Dubai for 3 days living like a king while you thought he was here." "I don't believe you," Hannah shrieked. "Get out of my house. Richard, tell her to get out." She grabbed Jacob's arm. "Tell her." Jacob pulled away. "Lady, I keep telling you." "I'm not him." "That's enough," a deep voice said. Special Agent Miller walked in from the kitchen, badge raised. "Everyone stay where you are," he said. "The FBI is executing a search warrant on this property. Mr. Miller," he nodded at Jacob, "you're coming with us." "Am I under arrest?" Jacob asked, looking at me. "Protective custody," Miller said, "for now." As they handcuffed Jacob, gently, Hannah started wailing. It was a high, thin sound. I watched them all. The partners were frantically calling their lawyers. Matthew was staring at the wall. Hannah was sobbing. My life was a crater. My house was a crime scene. My marriage was a lie. But standing there, watching the chaos, I realized something. I wasn't the victim. I was the one holding the match. "Get out," I said to Hannah. "Get out of my house." She looked up, tear-streaked and broken. "Dana, help us." "No," I said. "Call Richard. Maybe he can help you from his cell." 3 months later. It's been 90 days since the gathering of vultures. The divorce isn't final yet because it's hard to serve papers to a man in a foreign prison, but it's coming. Richard. Still in Dubai. The extradition process is a nightmare, which is fine by me. The Dubai courts are not known for their leniency regarding financial fraud. He's facing 12 years there, and then another 20 here when he finally gets back. He calls me sometimes. Collect. I don't answer. Chloe. Turned state's evidence immediately. She claimed she was brainwashed. She got a lighter sentence, but she's banned from banking for life and has to pay restitution. Good luck buying those diamonds now, sweetie. Jacob. He got probation. I testified that he was coerced and that his cooperation was vital to the arrest. He's actually okay. He moved back to LA. He sent me a text last week. Booked a commercial. Playing a dad. No prosthetics. Thanks for not letting me go to jail. Hannah. She lost the house in Connecticut. She lives with Matthew now. She sends me emails apologizing. I delete them unread. Me. I sold the house. I couldn't live there. Too many ghosts. I bought a small condo in the city with the money I recovered. Forensic accounting pays off. I found about 60% of what he stole. I started my own consulting firm, Chandler and Associates, Fraud Detection and Asset Recovery. My first client? Mrs. Higgins, the neighbor. She thought her pool boy was overcharging her. He was. I'm not happy yet. I'm not healed. I still check my bank accounts 3 times a day. I still wake up reaching for a husband who isn't there. But yesterday, I went on a date. He was nice. He was boring. And when he went to the bathroom, I didn't check his phone. I checked his shoes. Cheap loafers, worn soles, honest shoes. It's a start. TLDR. Husband hired an actor to replace him so he could steal millions. I used the actor to trap him, send him to prison, destroyed his family's finances, and started a business hunting liars? Edit. Wow, this blew up. To the people asking if Jacob is single, honestly, he's cute, but he has baggage. Slide into his DMs at your own risk. If this story resonated with you, leave a like and consider subscribing. You can also drop any comment below, even just one word. Maybe tell me where you're watching from, or what time it is right now. Sometimes one word is enough to say you were here.